Hey everyone, and today I just wanted to talk to you about what I believe to be the most overlooked form of art. Now, what's the first kind of art you think of when you think of art? For me, I sort of go to drawing or maybe music, stuff like that. That's pretty big, but before we get into what I think to be the most overlooked form of art, let's just go over different kinds of art. There's different subsections of art like visual arts, things like painting and drawing. There's auditory arts, things like music and also writing. There is performing arts, things like dance or gymnastics. And then there's digital arts, which is just any sort of art that is assisted digitally, things like CGI or videography, film, things like that. And I don't have it listed up here, but the one that I believe to be the most overlooked is the making video games. Now, usually when you think of video games, the first thing you think of isn't art. Usually it's maybe some form of entertainment, but it's not usually something that you would think artists would involve themselves with. But actually in 2011, New York Times reported that the Supreme Court ruled video games to be protected under the Creative Commons as a form of art, which I didn't know about, which I thought was very interesting. And I just want to give you some reasons why I think maybe they would have done that. So I want to go over just the visual aspects of some video games that I think have amazing visual art styles. So first we have Mario. I put 4 of them because there's many different iterations that their art style have gone through. First it started a very pixelated pixel art. That's what it's called. And then more recently it's gone to a more 3D 2D hybrid sort of thing. And then next we have a game called Omori, which is in pixel art also, but done very differently. Next there is Minecraft, Lego Builder's Journey, Children of Morta, Hollow Knight, Kena Bridge of Spirits, Stray, Subnautica, and Elden Ring. Now, for me personally, I think that every single one of their art styles is very beautiful and would need some sort of artists involved in that, because what they did is they put a lot of time and effort into making something visually appealing, which I think is part of what makes art art. Art is a creative work used to express yourself, and I feel like that's a good example of that. But video games also contain auditory arts such as music and songs. They also contain story writing, stuff like that. And one thing that is most important to me with video games that they have is the philosophical aspect of them, because the interactivity they have, I feel, makes it one of the most impactful kinds of art, because you can actually involve the audience into the story, have them affect the story, be part of the story, and that sort of thing. So I just want to go over one video game that has affected me philosophically as an example. And the name of the game is Omori, which was in one of the visual slides before. A brief summary of what the story of Omori is. It's a boy who, through a tragic accident, lost his sister, and he became depressed, recluse, hid in his room, and it follows his fight to get through all of these feelings as they culminate into this sort of imaginary being called Something, which is this weird creature. Black, has an eye. It can take many different forms depending on the fears he has. And throughout the story, there's 4 different encounters that Omori has with Something. And through these encounters, you can either pick to fight it, or you can pick one of these 4 things. Each time it changes depending on the encounter. First, you can choose to either fight or calm down. You can choose to either fight or focus, fight or persist, or fight or overcome. And in each of these encounters, fighting it does nothing. You can't damage it. Only through one of these four can you make it through an encounter with something. And that's when I realized something, and that is that this creature, something, is sort of an incarnation of Omori's deepest fears, regrets, depression, sort of everything just culminated into this one being. And through fighting it, you can't overcome it because it's a part of Omori. So he's essentially fighting with himself. And after realizing that, I realized the way that I have approached fear in the past, why I felt that it was weird or wrong the way I approached it. I approached it with aggression, sort of pushing it down, pushing it out of the way. That never really worked. And that was because the fear is a part of me. So I was essentially fighting with myself, trying to get rid of the feeling, when instead I needed to calm down, focus, persist, overcome, but not get rid of the fear. Because it's not something that you can just fight and get rid of. It's something that'll be there. And just like with Omori, something is always there, but he doesn't necessarily see it anymore because he's gotten used to it after a while. Same with me. After working with the fear for a while, I realized that it's there and I don't need to give it so much attention as I need to just focus on what I'm doing to push past it rather than just being obsessed with the fact that I am feeling fear. So that's one reason why I wanted to share with you why I think it's so important to see video games as more than just a form of entertainment, because it's an art that can really affect people in a lot of different ways. And I feel the mainstream media just doesn't represent it fully in its whole, because there are bad examples of video games that maybe don't have much artistic expression put into them, but the same can be said about many mass-produced art pieces that have just been slapped together, or books that maybe are lacking, or even shows that are just there to make money. But really, video games, just like any other form of art, are a form of expression that artists use to bring their stories and ideas to life, either to just affect other people, maybe even affect themselves differently. So the next time you see someone playing a video game, or maybe next time you play a video game, I just want you to think about the fact that while there is entertainment aspects to it, there's more than just that. There are artists behind the game that have put real meaning behind it, and that there's more than just what meets the eye. It's not just a bunch of pretty colors and entertaining stuff like that. So that's all I have, and thank you.